Hello, Scorpions. Welcome back. With me, I have Wayne Gakuo, former DSC lead at Ashesi University, and he's also a remote developer.
Yeah.
And so, pleasure.
Thank you.
Welcome, Wayne.
Pleasure's all mine.
So, Wayne, tell us about yourself and what you do.
All right. I'm Wayne Gakuo. I'm a remote software developer. I'm mostly into JavaScript. It's like just the web development and all. Currently working with two frameworks, Angular for the JavaScript side and like Laravel for PHP, which is like just the backend. Apart from coding, I wear many hats out there in terms of like tech communities. I lead the Anita Borg Nairobi. I'm a co-lead for Anita Borg Nairobi. I'm the male ally. As a male ally, what my work is to bring in male counterparts to help the females who are advocating for more females in tech to achieve the 50-50 women to men ratio by the year 2025. At the same time, I'm a co-organizer for Teens in AI Africa, where what we do is we democratize artificial intelligence to kids, showing them on how you could use AI for good and all. Just to mention a few. But I'm someone who's really big in sharing knowledge with budding developers, with tech communities, because I believe it's through these communities and people who have been around me that I've been able to be who I am today, and that's how I get to give back to the community.
So, why remote development?
Why I've always wanted to be a remote developer is I think it's just the feeling of always waking up at your own time, but again making sure that you have a specific timeline. That means if today I'm working for 8 hours, I have to make sure I clock in my 8 hours or 10 hours or 15 hours, depends on how the project is. And with the remote development is it calls for a lot of discipline, and I feel like through my education in Ashesi back in Ghana, I've had that culture of making sure that I plan my day from morning all the way till evening. And for me, I think I didn't like the idea of 8 to 5, because I was like, waking up early in the morning, coming back, there's a lot of traffic. So I'd rather work from the comfort of my house. But then that does not mean that I don't get to go out often. That's why I have tech community meetups that I'm supposed to attend. I help facilitate, share knowledge with other people who are out there, while at the same time just build solutions for people, right? And at the same time just do some side projects on my own. So I'm not really cooped up in the 8 to 5 kind of routine. It's a pretty flexible timeline for me, which is why I love the remote idea.
Yeah. So what is it like being a community lead in a foreign land for
you? When I was in Ghana, to be sincere, I didn't really feel it was a foreign land. I felt like it was home, because I was born and bred in Mombasa, and therefore the culture has always been that warm, welcoming culture. Just having that feeling of you have people around you as a community. So when I went to Ghana, especially in Accra, I found that family again, and through that I went into a few leadership roles and all that, but then I found out that I actually had a calling when it comes to tech, and most especially with tech communities, because I felt that just a bit of background about myself is through my high school, I was being sponsored under Equity Bank Wings to Fly program. And it's through that I was inculcated that culture of like always giving back to the community. And throughout my university until my 4th year, I've always looked for what can I really do as a way of giving back to the communities. I had my friends building NGOs and all that. I was always there supporting them. I felt like I really needed to do something else. And when the opportunity came for me to become a developer student club lead in Ashesi back in 2018, I took it up, and I think it's from then on I kind of like built myself as a developer at the same time, challenged myself, helped other people who have been there. Coming back to Kenya, it was easy transition, because they're like, hey Wayne, we've seen you somewhere, we've seen you in Ghana, and now we're here in Kenya. How's it been and all that? But I would say it has been a pretty awesome experience, like learning with building a tech community from scratch, because this was a community that was new. It didn't have any structure, so it had a lot of key learning points. It has not been easy, I would say, but it has been a really, I would say, an amazing journey, if I should say, like coming up with that community just from the ground up and like living to where it is today. Yeah.
So, being involved in a number of communities, advocating for tech, both in women at Anita Borg and Teens in AI, then DSC lead. What is your opinion on tech communities around the world?
I'd say tech communities are very essential when it comes to underrepresented communities, right? For instance, we have so many people who are interested to get in the tech space, for example, here in Africa, but these opportunities that don't come that easily. So it's through these tech communities that they come for meetups, and they get to meet with people who are experts. Like if I give an example, coming here in Kenya, right? For instance, if someone is interested in Android and doesn't really know where to start, there's DroidCon KE, which is run by the likes of Frank Tamre, Kendi, who are people who have been there out in the tech space. And what they do is they try and give budding developers that platform, like, hey, we have this community for you. Why don't you come and attend this meetup? You might find a job. We can give many examples of people who have done that. To give an example of Juma Alan, who's started off as an Android developer, and his first job he got it because seated probably like behind him was a recruiter from Trigger Foods, right? And this is just one of the key advantages of communities, right? You get to meet people who are like-minded, who might even give you referrals based on your expertise. Yeah, and at the same time, I feel like we really don't have to forget that we also have teenagers or kids who are out there who also want a piece of that cake, right? And for example, through Teens in AI Africa, which was started in London and now it's the first in Africa, we've managed to give students who are in the high schools that privilege of like, hey, I can actually build a machine learning model, right? I can use Microsoft Azure to build an ML model that does this, that predicts and all. And for me, I think that has been a really amazing experience, because I know that with these communities, we are giving people a platform to express their interest and get to meet people who might even help them in their careers moving forward. Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to young people trying to carve a niche for themselves in the tech space, whichever field, be it Android, web, or data science and AI?
Yeah, well, one thing is for sure that the tech space has a lot of noise. And by noise, I mean people having so many opinions about frameworks, about programming languages, and all that. One of the key things people should really take note of is choose a programming language that you're really, really interested in. Do a bit of research on it. And from then on, just master it. Master the frameworks, master syntax, master things to do with data structures with that particular programming language. Because in the end, it does not matter the noise, but what you can actually offer. Because nowadays, you find that companies do not really employ people for their papers. Right now, it's like, what can you do? Right? It's not like, what do you know? It's what can you do? Right? And I feel like that's one thing people should really take note of. Right? Just drown out the noise and like take one thing that you're really interested in, focus on it, master it, and start looking for opportunities even through these tech communities that you'll be attending. Yeah.
So, pleasure having you, Wayne.
Thank you.
And it was nice learning from you.
Thank you very much.
We'll be glad to have you next time.
Thank you.